So I'm Brian Jones, and I'm just delighted that you're here today. And I'm going to talk about the meditation practice that I've been doing for a very long time, for about 50 years now. That's a pretty long time. and we're going to get into that. And today I think I set for the first session here, I'll talk about who I am, what we do, and why this works. And so those are the things I'm going to cover today. And as this evolves over the next 6 weeks, you're going to find out very quickly that this is all about your own experience. It's about your own direct experience. Because, we read so many things. Of course, Quora is a wealth of, it's a gold mine of information about everything, and spiritual topics too. And there's so many good people and knowledgeable people on Quora sharing their thoughts and experiences on spirituality. But I think, all of us probably realize that, no matter how much we read or study or attempt to understand, it's really just a sort of a encouragement for us to continue with our spiritual journey, but it actually doesn't give us the spiritual states, the spiritual conditions that we read about or that we're longing to have. And all we're longing to have really is a glimpse of our original pure condition as boundless, wonderful, luminous beings of light, as I always say, that we are in our pure state of consciousness. And that's something that we want to experience. We want to uncover that. And to be honest, it's a process. It is a process. So let's get started. As I said, I'm Brian Jones. I'm a writer on Quora. In my worldly life, I do a lot of different things. I've been an artist. I've been a musician. I've been a lot of things in the creative fields. I do graphic design. Currently, I do corporate interior design for a large engineering firm that I work for. I've been working for them for 7 years. I do all their interiors. So I do things that are in the creative fields. That's my day-to-day life. But most of my life is spent doing this. I've been meditating in this method since I was 18. I started meditation when I was 12. I've been doing this method since I was 18 years old. I've spent my life in the company of some genuine spiritual masters. Now, I always add that word, genuine spiritual masters, because, these days anyone can claim that they're enlightened and they're a master and all of this stuff. But, what does it take to really find a master? What does it take to be a master of that type of caliber that at a glance, the master can bestow you with an amazing inner awakening or condition that is something so profound, Those masters are very rare indeed. And I was very fortunate to spend my life with the masters in Heartfulness. There's been 4 masters, starting in 1873 with the founder of Heartfulness. His name was Lalaji. And he had rediscovered the technique, something called transmission. He rediscovered transmission. And this transmission I'm going to cover next week, so I'm not going to talk about it today, but it's something that greatly aids our meditation and helps us to have our own experiences as we progress inwardly in our becoming our lightness of being. So I want to show you a picture of the masters. Let me just do that, and this way you can see who I refer to very often. Now, so this has been the lineage of the Heartfulness masters. I have had the great, immense blessing to know 3 of the 4 in my lifetime. And that's becoming rarer and rarer as us old timers are getting older, So the first one on the left is the founder and rediscoverer of transmission. And he said that this thing called transmission or pranahuti had been lost to the world for 10,000 years. And he rediscovered it and reintroduced it to the world because he knew that a time was coming quickly when the people of this world would be so sort of swept away by all of the distractions of worldly life that we would need something simple, a simple way that we could reach and attain the high levels of spirituality that the spiritual masters have attained. And his objective was to make this available to every single person on the planet in a way that could very easily reach, as Babaji, the next master, has said, reach the highest spiritual states ever attained by any spiritual master of the past. That is what this method assures you, if you take it up in earnest. So the first master was Lalaji. Second one on the right of him is Babaji. Babaji was his chief disciple, and Babaji in this method is a very special master. You will see everybody refers to him because he took Lalaji's transmission and made it into a very simple method that everyone could practice. And Babaji's teachings are very, very profound. He was a spiritual scientist. And as a spiritual scientist, he discovered and revealed a lot of things in the spiritual field that no one has known up until now. He's really, his writings and teachings are really quite amazing. But more so than that, his ability to just impart to you these spiritual states without saying a word, without taking a dime, is astounding. And the first time I met him, I had been practicing this for about 6 years before I got to meet him physically. And when I met him the first time, and I won't go into the complete story, but literally he looked at me, he stared right at me, and within seconds I felt and all these chakras all the way to the back of my head were all lit up in like 4 seconds time. And I knew that Babaji had seen my soul from the beginning, and everything after that in my life had been completely, totally changed. So that is what a real spiritual master is. Babaji, I met him twice, and he passed away in 1983. The next master we call Chariji, Parthasarthi Rajagopalachari. Chariji was educated in the West. He was a huge intellectual giant. He wasn't an intellectual, but he had a big intellect, I would say. He had read thousands of books. He spent his whole life traveling the world, especially through the West, bringing these techniques and this method of heartfulness to the world. And this method is offered all over the world to people free of charge. I want to mention that. That's a very important point. So he was my spiritual guide for decades. I spent every year with him, and I'm writing a book which will talk about a lot of the experiences that I had with him around the world, inner and outer. He passed in 2014, and the current spiritual guide of heartfulness is Daji. His name is Kamlesh D. Patel. We call him Daji. I've known Daji for probably more than 35 years. I know him personally. I knew him before he was the master in this method. He was an amazing spiritual devotee, very quiet, very introspective. He lived in Staten Island, outside of just across from New York City. And he was a pharmacist in his life and owned several pharmacies in New York. And every year when I would go to trade shows in New York City, I would just swing by his house, and we would exchange sittings and have tea and talk about spiritual things. So I've known Daji quite well for a very, very long time. Okay, and just to show one last picture, here I am in India at our Babaji Memorial Ashram in Chennai. And that is me with Chariji. So, okay. Now, all right. So that's a little bit about who I am. And I will tell you this, that about 7 years ago, Daji requested me to take up writing on Quora. And I didn't even know what it was. I had no idea. And I didn't do it at first. I was a little hesitant, maybe I was a little shy of doing it. I don't know. But, about 4 months later, I was sitting in my chair downstairs, and all of a sudden, like a bolt of lightning, I get this thing, Quora, it just jolted me. And I thought, oh yeah, well, Daji asked me to write on that. Maybe I should look at this. And I'm sorry to say I delayed for so long, but I looked at it and I started answering questions, and never did I know or dream or realize how big it would get. And at this point, I've just interacted with literally thousands of meditators and seekers from around the world that have gotten in touch with me. So it's been a real journey for myself. And I thank you all for reading my posts. I really appreciate that. All right, now I want to talk a little bit about what we do here. So there's 4 sessions a week. And the Saturday session, as you see here, is where I take up a topic for about 30 minutes, and then we will meditate together for 30 minutes, because these sessions are experiential. This is about you having an experience. No matter what I talk about or how much I talk, at the end of the day, the only thing that really matters is your own experience. So that's what we focus on here. So after the meditation, which is also about 30 minutes, we go off camera, take a 5-minute break, and then whoever wants to can come back, and I take up questions or comments sometimes for another hour, depending on how lively the conversation gets. And I want you to know that the focus here in our sessions and our meditations is really about unity, that we come together and we have an experience together in meditation that's very profound. It's very easy to get into a samadhi state and to go very deep in meditation. And at the end of this, our group meditations, you find everyone is in a very different state than where they started. They're in the meditative state. And at the end of the meditations, we share what we received by thinking well for the world and feeling that the entire world and our loved ones and friends and everyone is also enjoying the beautiful spiritual condition that we have created within ourselves. So this is a we practice. The practice is individual per se, but when we come together as a group, this is all about the betterment of ourselves and the betterment of the world, the betterment of our planet. So we're all about that. So that is what we do. And during the week, there's 3 weekday sessions on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday at 8 a.m. Eastern Time. And those are only meditation. There's no topic. And we meditate for about 45 minutes. So many people here, about I think 31, 32 people, attend all 4 sessions a week. Never miss. And so that's a lot of dedication and a lot of meditation. All right. So why heartfulness? Why do we meditate on the heart? Why is it so effective? Why does this work? So meditating on the heart. The first reason why we meditate on the heart is to get out of our head. Everything that's going on is going up here in our head. Our thoughts are going round and round and round. They're never stopping. They're never letting up. And so when we can sit down and close our eyes and immediately move our awareness out of our head and let it rest on the heart, amazing things happen. Now, the mind has an interesting characteristic. Whatever thought or object we place our attention on, even for a second, suddenly that thing becomes magnified, that thought becomes magnified, and that becomes the predominant thought in our mind. We are doing this all the time. So Our thought is very powerful, and our attention is very powerful. Whatever we put our attention on, it will grow that thought, feeling, emotion. It will grow that memory. So our thought and our attention are very powerful. Now, when we put our attention very gently, resting it on the heart, now we magnify the qualities of the heart. So, what are the qualities of the heart? Well, we all know them. Love, compassion, intuition, feeling. So many things we equate with the heart. Why do we even equate them with the heart? Nobody's ever gotten a Valentine's Day card with a picture of a brain on it, right? We know that the heart is all about love. And if any of us have had a broken heart, and I hope nobody has, but you probably have had, we know where we feel it, we actually feel it. We feel that our heart is broken, or we feel our heart hurts. So we can say that the mind thinks, that's what it does, and the heart feels. Why would I say that the heart is a place of intuition? Well, if ever you are facing a big decision in life and you're not sure, what to do, what happens? Well, we call up our best friends or friend and our loved one, and we sit down over some coffee or chai, and we spill our heart out and say, this is what's happening to me, and I don't know what to do. And how many times in our life has someone told us, well, you just got to follow your heart, right? We have all been told this, and we've told it to others so many times. But it's not easy to follow our heart. And the reason is that our mind is so unregulated that the mind continually interprets our feelings through the lens of our past experiences. So we never really have a good compass on or direction through our feelings, because our mind instantly starts interpreting them through similar past feelings and experiences. That's a dilemma, because we do that all the time. And what that means is that we are entirely conditioned by our past experiences. And in fact, the very person each of us is today, right now, we are entirely a product of our past. So how do we get past that? What do we do to clear this lens that we have so many coverings on, so that we can have a clear perspective of our heart's feelings, of our heart's direction? Because the heart is the seat of our conscience. And conscience always lets us know when we're about to do something that's either not right, or wrong decision, or we're intentionally ignoring our conscience, which we're very good at. Our still feeling of the conscience comes up and it tells us, that doesn't feel right. We know it, but we very often don't pay attention. And then the dualistic mind starts going, I'd really like to do that. And, this could be a great opportunity for me to do this. And then immediately the other voice in the head says, oh, you can't do that. You don't have the skills to do that. And why are you bothering? How you think you could, we sabotage ourselves all the time. We sabotage our feelings through our thinking. So in this practice of heartfulness, we have some very unique tools that allow us to clean away these past experiences, which we call samskaras. These deep-rooted samskaras that we have are like energy blocks within our heart area. Okay, these energy blocks, they prevent us from feeling clearly, and they cause us to bring up things from our past and to judge ourselves and to judge others based on our opinions and our ideas. And all of that is stored within this area of the heart. It's blocking our pure feeling. So in Heartfulness, we have not only a practice of what we call morning meditation, which is the meditation we also do as a group, but we also have a practice called evening cleaning. And in this practice of cleaning, we sit down after the day's work is over, and we can get rid of all of the impressions from the day. And it's extremely effective. And when we get rid of all of the stuff from our day, well, you feel fresh. At night, you lay your head on the pillow. You're not thinking about, who did this today and who did that and who said this today. We're able to just let go and to get a good night's sleep. And we wake up in the morning. We start the day off with the morning meditation. That sets the tone for the day. We go through our work day, school day, family day. We get more impressions. At the end of the day, we clean those off. And you can start to see that this whole thing is designed to be a cycle that is for our own personal evolution. It's for our own evolution. And what you're going to learn over these next 6 weeks is that our growth, our evolution, our ability to reach very subtle states of consciousness. As we use the words Ancora, we hear words such as awakening, enlightenment, other kinds of words. In this Heartfulness, we don't really use those words. We use some words that are like realization, mergence with the ultimate. So these are terms that I think more clearly define what we're actually doing. And the reason that we take up a meditation like this, and the reason we want to clear away these past impressions, is because if we want to be enlightened, or back to our lightness, then we have to find a way to start to emulate that sort of lightness within ourselves. We have to create that condition within ourselves, and then we imbibe that state, and more we become that state. So we're basically creating this state through meditation within ourselves, and through practice we are becoming merged in those subtler and subtler states of consciousness, which are already within us. It's not like we're gaining them. They're already there within us. But all what we're doing is removing all of the filters and removing all of the samskaras so that we can experience the complete self that we truly are. So that's what this practice is all about. It's all about your own experience. So maybe I'll just comment a little further over the next few weeks. What we're going to do is next week, likely I'm going to take up this idea of transmission and talk about that in relationship to the meditation. I'll take up the idea of trainers. I'm a trainer in this method, and there are 14,000 trainers now around the world who are able to give this transmission as part of this method. That's the design of it, so that Babaji's idea was that he wanted everyone in the world to have access to this transmission. And so he was able to take people who are ordinary people and open up something in them that allowed them to give this transmission to come through them. It's kind of amazing, actually, because there's no too many prerequisites. You don't even have to have immense spiritual knowledge or anything. Just there has to be a willingness to take up a work like this. And those, in this method, we call those the trainers. So I'll get into all of that more in depth next week. And the following weeks, I will take up cleaning and mergence, states of consciousness. I'll take up the chakras and how we clean each one and how we go through those chakras. This is something far beyond Kundalini. I just want you to know that. This is a totally different thing. Kundalini deals with power. And as Babaji said, power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely, is what he said. So in this path, we take the safe journey through the chakras by purifying them and able to go, far beyond what was known in the past as these highest stages of consciousness. We hear about the third eye, and we hear so many things. And it's, Babaji discovered many, many more chakras and points way beyond these points, all the way to the back of the head. And I'm going to talk about all of that and get into why we need to clean those and how we arrive at those pure states of consciousness, divine states of consciousness. And it's something that we experience. So, with that, my friends, I invite us all to let's meditate together. This is also called a satsang, or a group meditation. This is going to be very simple to do. I will guide us into it. We'll start with a little relaxation. I'll guide us into meditation. I'll guide us into what we're going to meditate on. Then we will sit silently for about 20 minutes. Okay? And my only request is just be open to receive without expectation. Just be open to receive. And when thoughts do come, that's okay. Don't worry about that. Just very gently return to resting on the heart. That's all. At the end of this 25, 30 minutes, you'll clearly hear me say that's all, and I will bring us out of the meditation. So with that, let's get started. So very gently, close your eyes and make sure you're sitting comfortably. All right, I think today we need to conclude our session. So this has been wonderful, and I'm so happy for all of you who have come for the first time. I thank you for exploring this and taking the time out. I wish you all the very best and hope to see you soon.
Thank you, Brian. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Brian.
All right, best. See you.